Dan Moore from the Steelers is, okay. Again, we're getting into guys, that we're about to talk about that, their teams don't want them. I mean, it should be a humongous red flag if a guy who plays left tackle in this league, their team doesn't want them. And we talked about that with Alaric Jackson with the Rams. And then suddenly the Rams, stepped up, probably because they looked at the alternatives out there and were just like, ugh, it's better to go with the guy that we know. So Dan Moore from the Steelers is next. He's okay. I mean, he's gonna have his struggles. Is he an upgrade over Vederian Lowe? Yes, of course. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about the Patriots getting better. Then I would put Cam Robinson from the Vikings, who originally started with the Jaguars. This is somebody that Doug Marrone knows from his time with the Jaguars. Cam Robinson struggled a lot last year, but he does have the traits that you're looking for. You're hoping with, the Patriots, remember, they now have 3 offensive line coaches, plus Dante Scarnecchia being involved. I think Scar, as we talked about before, I think he's just going to be more involved as a consultant with the coaches and sort of bridging the gap between McDaniels and, Marrone and the rest of these guys, Huftalling and Kugler. But, do you, as the Patriots, now that you have 3 offensive line coaches, do you bet on traits and say, like, we have enough guys to really work with these guys and get them better? And so Robinson would be number 3. Jedrick Wills from the Browns, 10th overall pick. This would only be if Rabel signs off. Rabel was in that room. He knows the deal with Wills. I don't think it would be overly expensive. Again, this is a guy with traits that you're hoping will be better, but a lot of red flags as far as his football character. And then if all else fails, Tyron Smith, who gets hurt all the time. That's going to be part of the deal, but when he's on the field, he's still damn good. And so I wouldn't completely eliminate him from the list, especially if I get desperate.
Yeah, so obviously Stanley, we all want Stanley. Cam Robinson, I've been rough on Cam because of this past season. He wasn't good. He was god-awful in the playoff game. However, I did find this note from Pro Football Focus this week that made me feel better about a possible Cam Robinson signing if you don't get Stanley. Here's what Pro Football Focus wrote. Although Robinson posted a 67.2 pass blocking grade with the Jags and Vikings last year, he's been one of the better pass protecting tackles in football. Since 2021, his 77 pass blocking grade ranks 13th among qualified tackles. So, I mean, when you look at that, yeah, it was a rough year last year. He was traded, which doesn't make it any easier. You have the Doug Marrone connection, who was with Jacksonville when Cam was drafted down there in Jacksonville. And the Jaguars had a younger left tackle that they liked more. And so they signed him to an extension and then traded Cam Robinson. So after looking at that, I don't feel as bad about the idea of Cam Robinson as I did beforehand. Interior offensive line. Actually, sneakily, lots of interesting names as part of this market, Greg. Tell us some of the guys that you would like.
Yeah, Will Freeze from the Colts would be my number 1. He had an injury last year, but before that, really good, solid player, a guard. I think he would be plug and play at left guard for this team and would elevate the level of play. Drew Dahlman, center, big fan. I think he's a really good player. I would not be surprised, Nick, if we look at a scenario where the Patriots get a center and, maybe bid adieu to David Andrews. The Patriots, they need to know what they have. We'll see how that goes. Patrick McCarry from the Ravens.
Yep.
I'm not a huge fan. I think he's been overrated in this free agency. He can play all 5 positions. That's sort of the appeal of him, that, he's played a ton of tackle. He's played some guard. You could fit him, wherever you need to. So, if you're the Patriots and you strike out on some guys, McCarry's sort of like a good backup plan to elevate, the line. Josh Myers, the center from the Packers, solid player, not great. I think he's definitely behind Dahlman as far as center. I don't know if you would necessarily, that would spell the end of David Andrews, but it could. Will Hernandez is he's always been a good, solid guard. I'm a fan. Tevin Jenkins from the Bears, his film is really good, but a lot of injury problems. He never stays on the field. And, look, the Bears just swapped that. They just brought in 2 guards. Jonah Jackson they just traded for, and, of course, Joe Thuney. So, the Bears didn't want to wait for him. They'd rather go trade to upgrade their guard. So, what does that tell you? And, sort of down the list, a guy to bring in to compete, Dylan Radins from the Titans, who Vrabel and all those guys know, very well. Tough guy, not a great player, but sort of somebody you bring in to compete and at least be sort of a veteran backup on the interior.
I would like Jenkins. I get the injury concerns. The interesting thing about Jenkins is you got Hotailing, who was on Chicago staff last year as the assistant O-line coach. Thomas Brown was on the Chicago Bears coaching staff. Both those guys now here in New England. So obviously they would have some intel.
What's going on, everyone? Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media with a very exciting announcement. Here at Patriots Press Pass, we will be introducing bonus tiers. Now, this will not affect any of the content that hopefully you've grown to know and love over here at Patriots Press Pass. It's all going to be some brand new stuff and extras so we can connect with you more and also provide you some more in-depth and high-quality content. Hopefully, you guys are going to like it. Here are the tiers and what you should be expecting from all these new bonuses. At Tier 1, we've got Rookie Starter. That'll come with ad-free content, early access to videos, 5% off of all merchandise, and even custom emojis. At Tier 2, we've got All Pro. Once again, ad-free content, early access, 10% off merchandise, custom emojis, but that'll also come with player profile film reviews and draft profiles. At Tier 3, we've got GOAT status. Same as all the other tiers, but it's going to be 20% off of all merchandise, and we're also going to have custom segments, Discord chat rooms with myself and other show hosts, as well as live film reviews with myself and whomever we've got on the podcast for that day, hoping to have some pretty fun guests.